to the heart of Kashmir, ladies and gentlemen. When I say heart of the valley, here every village has a story and every valley has its own moral weightage. So it's only fitting then that we talk about a book that asks a very profound question, but something that addresses our current situation, which is, can we win without losing our soul? Ladies and gentlemen, I have an honor to have with me my favorite, Professor Amitabh Mattu, and we will be discussing about his book that is Strategic Choices and Ethical Dilemmas, Stories from the Mahabharata. The book is written by Aruna Narnikal, Amitabh Mattu and Amrita Narnikal. If we look at the title, you may feel that it's a retelling of Mahabharata, but let me assure you, this book will bring Mahabharata to your boardroom, to your courtroom, and to your living room. So, as I said, I have an honor of having Professor Amitabh Mattu sir with me. So, sir, let's begin at the beginning. So my first question, sir, to you will be that how did an expert on international relations and modern politics find himself returning again and again to Mahabharata for strategic choices and ethical dilemmas?
I think it was serendipitous that the three of us who wrote this book, Amrita Narlikar, Aruna Narlikar and myself, once met. He was in Delhi or Oxford, and we were looking at international relations and the ethical dilemmas that, as you pointed out, in your remarkably articulate fashion, that we are faced with in almost every conflict that we encounter. In contemporary times, whether it is what's happening in the Middle East or whether it's what's happening in Ukraine, there are choices. There are choices based on realpolitik and the larger sense of the public good. How do people see these choices and what decisions does one make on these? All these often difficult choices of which are often zero-sum. So you choose one at the cost of the other. And while doing so, we looked at, all of us, almost simultaneously thought of one epic, one book which we have grown up with, which seems to actually engage with some of the most difficult moral choices facing us on issues of war and peace. In fact, I would go ahead and say that almost everything written on war and peace is really, since the Mahabharata, a footnote to the Mahabharata. And once that happened, we decided to actually, as scholars of international relations, revisit the Mahabharata and pick on the Mahabharata some stories which we thought would exemplify the ethical dilemmas that the world faces today, and how the Mahabharata responded to these ethical dilemmas. So I think this is the first attempt. I think there's so much material still available within our traditions, and as Ambassador Deepak Bora was telling me that his task, his mission during his ambassadorship and more so after he retired is to Macaulay's, how do you pronounce it, sir? Demacaulayify our knowledge systems. In a sense, Macaulay was a person who decided that there was a certain colonial impression, impact, hegemony that it needed to be, that colonized people had to be imposed on. I would like to ask him privately, shouldn't we then also think of perhaps abandoning our civil services, ICS and IAS, because those were colonial traditions of creating a band of Western thinking gentlemen who would rule over India.
I seem to have lost my hearing.
Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, now that we are talking about politics, so in politics and in diplomacy, they say that you should play the war, you should play the game the way it is and not the way it ought to be. So I want to understand from you, sir, where do you draw the line between realism and complicity?
It's a very good question because that's often what we teach in international relations. That you have to recognize that the world is full of selfish states who will act selfishly in their own national interests. So any policies which do not recognize this are going to be counterproductive. And yet the question is that how do you balance out what the world needs by just following only narrow selfish self-interest? How do you deal with the problem of climate change? How do you deal with pandemics? Every nation follows their own narrow selfish self-interest. Then quite clearly, we won't have collective action on these global problems. So in some ways, this book doesn't address those questions directly, but it looks at choices from within the Mahabharata. The tree and the parrot who sticks by the tree, or Yudhishthira's unwilling to cross to heaven without his dog. That there was a non-anthropocentric view beyond human beings which the Mahabharata encouraged. Of course, I think it also engages with some of the central dilemmas that everyone who grows up reading the Mahabharata faces. Why is the Lord, Krishna himself, why does he seem ungodly in some ways? Why does he encourage, for instance, Yudhishthira, who has never ever compromised with the truth, to say in the middle of battle, to ensure that Bhishma is killed, and he knows that the one weak spot of Bhishma is his son Ashwatthama. Drona, apologies. The one weak spot of Drona is Ashwatthama, and Ashwatthama also being the elephant. And so Yudhishthira says, Ashwatthama, then silently murmurs, the elephant is dead. That's enough for Bhishma to be completely abandoned. That's the opportunity that Arjuna gets killed. So why does Krishna encourage this? Or incidentally with Bhishma himself, who had said that he will never face a woman. And so he gets the Kandi to face it. So in fact, it would have been good if Ambassador Vora had been part of this conversation. He can still be part of this conversation, since I think it's informal enough. So, but the question is that sometimes, is it that means can justify in the end? Is it that Krishna in some ways cannot be bound by the morality of ordinary human beings? Or is it that the concept of apadharma, which means that in exceptional circumstances you can perhaps transcend or bypass conventional morality? These are difficult choices. These are not easy answers that you deal with. What we are suggesting is that the Mahabharata is a text which engages in all the complexities available in Western philosophy, from Immanuel Kant to contemporary modern philosophers like Michael Sandel, and does justice. And you can go back to the Mahabharata and find answers for many of the global problems, or at least the complexity with which those answers need to be dealt with. So that's why I think it's a fantastic text. It's, for me, more than a religious text, it's a text on war and peace and ethics. Of course, chapters within the Mahabharata form the great scripture of the Gita, which is referred universally. But quite apart from that, there is a huge epic which needs to be explored.
Sir, I think I can spend an entire day discussing Mahabharata with you, but I will not be allowed to do so. So, I also have one question, sir. In Mahabharata, there are many moments of self-doubt and deep regret. Like we're talking about Yudhishthira, like Yudhishthira weeping off after the war. So I want to understand from you, sir, how can present-day leaders cultivate that kind of introspection in a world that demands them to be, that demands speed out of them and demands them to be decisive?
In fact, the greatest moral dilemma is the one faced by Arjun on the battlefield, which is that he says to the charioteer, Lord Krishna himself, how can I kill? These are my cousins, these are my family members. You are asking me to kill in cold blood people who have grown up with my teachers, my gurus. And then what Krishna replies to him forms the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, which is that look, all this is transient. All the bodies that you see are temporary. The soul which can never be. You can never go away. And look at it in the context of your dharma, your duty. That's why we often say the Raj Dharma, the dharma of the ruler. So you're right of how Arjuna does things as introspection, deep personal reflection, and how counsel, the great counsel that Krishna gives. Similarly with Yudhishthira, I think there are moments of deep regret, deep sense of feeling completely lost when he sees all the bodies on the battlefield. I think the anchor is suggesting that our time is over.
Sir, I would just like to share one thing. Since you were talking about this, when I was reading Mahabharata, I read something really profound. When Arjuna told Shri Krishna that how do I wage war against them? मैं कैसे इनसे जंग लड़ूं? ये तो मेरे अपने हैं. और उन्होंने कहा कि अपने हैं तो सामने क्यों हैं? So with this, I had many questions, but yes, of course, we have to follow the protocol. So thank you so much, sir, for joining this conversation with me. It was an honor. Thank you so much.